Hi guys, it's Melinda. Before we jump into this video, I just wanted to let you guys know that we are going to be going live this Saturday, April 17th at 10 a.m. local Pago Pago time. And for all of you who don't live here in American Samoa, look in the description down below and we will have a breakdown of the conversion for all the different time zones. All right, that's it. Let's go ahead and jump into why we moved to American Samoa.
Why did we move to American Samoa?
There's a really good reason, but the answer is way too long to fit into just one sentence. Let's make a whole video about it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to Amsamfam.
If you haven't already, remember to hit the subscribe button down below and give us a like on this video. And also ring that bell so that you can catch all of our videos like this in the future.
So as we said before, we are answering a question that we get asked a lot, why we moved to American Samoa.
And we have answered this a little bit in some live videos. We've touched on it in some other videos. If we've talked to you in person, you might have kind of heard our story. But it's a long, interesting story that goes a lot of different directions, and it takes place in all kinds of different places across the whole world. And we want to bring the whole shebang to you guys today.
So first off, let's just clear something up. There's no family relation, no family ties to the island. Neither of us, sadly, are Samoan. I know some people think I am. I wish I could claim that, but I can't.
I'm not either. People always think I am too, but
right.
I'm actually not. But there's an important reason Melinda's saying that, which is that most of the Palangis, or the off-islanders that you see in American Samoa, most of them are here for just a couple of reasons. The first being that they are married to a Samoan, and so they've ended up here. The second would be that they are maybe just here for like a temporary contract. They've come, they've done their thing, and they're going to leave here before too awful long. But we're unique because we live here full time, and we have no plans of ever leaving.
Ever.
So because of that reason, people are always asking us, why did you move here? Why are you here? So this starts back when I was a kid. I spent a lot of my childhood growing up in Los Angeles, Southern California, in an area where there were a lot of Polynesians, a lot of Tongans, a lot of Samoans, Fijians, people from all over Polynesia and Micronesia were there, and I got to know quite a few of them. And I was really lucky that I got to go to church in an area where there was a lot of Samoans, and so I got to have friends that were Samoan growing up. I got to enjoy a little bit of the culture from time to time and see bits and pieces of it, and instantly just grew a deep love for the Samoan culture. So much so that the church that I went to was the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Some of you may know it as the Mormon Church, and as a lot of you know, a lot of the young men, 18, 19, 20-year-old young men will go and serve a mission somewhere around the world. And I prayed I would go to Polynesia, specifically Samoa. That didn't happen. And unfortunately, I went to Ukraine, which is about as far away from Samoa as you can get, but I never lost that desire and that love for Samoa.
I did not grow up with a lot of Polynesians, sadly. Small town Idaho, there weren't a lot of them around. But what I did experience as a kid was a great desire to travel the world and to explore new places, meet new people. For example, my absolute favorite movie growing up was Anastasia. Oh my gosh, I loved the sound of the accents, the idea of being somewhere new and somewhere different. I had a sister who went and traveled around after she graduated high school, and a brother who did some traveling in South America, and I just knew that someday I was going to live somewhere outside of the United States.
Fast forward one or so decades, and we met both living in Idaho. Now, Melinda had traveled a little, I had traveled a little. We had both been around a little bit, and we were compatible.
Yep.
It worked out. We settled down in Idaho. We made a good life for ourselves. We had some children. We had a mortgage on a house. We had 2 cars. We still have 2 cars.
2 car payments.
I had a good degree, but also had student loan debt. We had a little bit of credit card debt that we used to kind of float through the last little bit of college. And, we were living the American dream, but I think we found out pretty quickly that the American dream is not much of a dream to everybody.
No, it definitely was not either of our dreams coming true.
We felt a deep sense of like being stuck and trapped, almost like in prison, because we had a little bit of debt. And this isn't a video about debt or anything like that, our finances, but there's one thing that really defined us in our lives and defined our path to coming here to American Samoa, is that we had this debt.
And it wasn't just, the credit card debt. It was a lot of acceptable debt. Yeah. Student loans, mortgage, reasonable car payments. But it still felt suffocating.
And maybe worst of all, we didn't feel like we had the freedom to go travel the world on a whim, or to just randomly decide to move across the world and live on a little tiny island in the middle of the South Pacific. There's no way we could afford doing that with all of our debt.
But we did our best at saving a little bit here and there. We kind of scrimped and saved as well as we could. We used some of the air miles that Nate had built up through traveling for work. And for our 10th anniversary, we planned a nice little 10-day vacation.
It was all the traveling we could do, and so we decided to do it.
So we looked around trying to figure out what we wanted to do for our vacation, and we decided to go to one of the Bay Islands off of Honduras called Roatan. We stayed in this awesome little hostel in this tiny little hut. There was no air conditioning, there was no hot water. We did a lot of snorkeling, we did a lot of laying on the beach, we did some hiking and some exploring, got off the beaten path, kind of got lost a little bit, wondering if we would find our way back. It was turning out to be just the perfect anniversary trip for the two of us to just get out of the States and out of what we knew. But it was just that, a really great vacation. Nothing life-changing or earth-shattering until we met some very special people.
So there was a young couple staying in the hut next to us, about our age, and we saw them coming and going a couple of times and thought they looked interesting. And at one point we finally got around to talking to them, introducing ourselves and saying hi, and quickly learned that they were from Ukraine, which was awesome because, like I told you, I served my mission in Ukraine, so I got to speak a little Russian, and it was really exciting. We thought they were just on a family vacation. That was all cool and wonderful, but when we were asking them about their family vacation, they let us know this wasn't a vacation. They had been, the two of them and their two boys, had been traveling through Central America for the last several months. And that's what blew our minds. And we thought, you can do that with kids? Because we got two kids at home right now, and that doesn't even sound like something we'd ever even considered being able to do. And so we were excited talking to them. Probably Melinda was more excited than I was, but I mean, it was still intriguing and awesome and fun talking to these guys and learning about, like, what have you been doing? How did you save to do this? What are you doing about work? What are you doing for school for your kids? What are you doing? How do you do something like that in life? It's so amazing to us. And we talked to them a lot. We discussed the ideas of doing something like that a lot between ourselves, me and Melinda. And when we got home, I was excited and energized by it, but Melinda, she'll never admit this, she was out of her freaking mind. Like, more than excited, this verged on being obsessed with the idea of doing something like this, doing something big where we get rid of like everything in life and we move. She wanted to do something where we went and did exactly what our friends were doing, where we were just traveling and traveling. And I told her very quickly, that sounds amazing, but those guys sold everything to do it. And when they get back, he's going to have a big gap in his resume. It sounded great. Maybe someday we'll do that, but it didn't feel like what I want to do in my career right now. But I said, if you're willing to, I'm absolutely interested and down to move somewhere off the beaten path. So we were both excited about this idea. And the funny thing is, we kind of went and told all of our family, like, hey, this is what we want to do. We're so serious about this. In fact, we're so serious that we're going to sell our house. We just built a brand new house, a really nice big house, and we were really deep in debt with it. We were spending all of our time and money on the house. Weekends were really about, fixing up the yard and doing things. We had the house for less than 3 years, and we said, we're going to sell our house because we don't want to have a house payment over our heads, because we want to be able to go do this thing. So everybody thought we were crazy. They didn't believe that we were going to actually do it, but we did. We sold our house. We made enough money on the house that we paid off all of our debt too. Every little bit of debt. And all of a sudden, this didn't seem that unreasonable. It actually seemed pretty doable and pretty incredible. And now we didn't feel like we had this weight on us.
But that was not quite the point where we were ready to move to American Samoa. We still had a lot of other ideas first. So we really spent a few years just trying to think of the right idea to get us to a place where we could move and try somewhere different. Every few months we would come up with, we could move to Russia where Nate could get his master's degree. We could go do a workaway where we could work on somebody's farm outside of Sydney, Australia. We could buy a sailboat and sail around the world. Sounds ridiculous, right? We came up with so many ideas. Every few months, a new idea, and eventually our family just started rolling their eyes at us every time we'd come to them with our newest, greatest idea of how we can make this work. Well, it wasn't happening. And so we decided, okay, we're not traveling around the world, but we could travel where we live. And so we bought this awesome little trailer that we fit in just perfectly. And we started taking just little trips. We realized there are a lot of places right here where we live that we haven't ever discovered, that we've never taken the time to explore. And so we started discovering the places that we had missed for all these years. Right at this same time, we had there in Idaho the worst, coldest winter in like 100 years. It didn't get above 0 for like a month and a half or something. I still remember we were sitting there in Nate's grandparents' house, and I turned to him and I said, Nate, this time next year, I want to be somewhere warm. I'm done with winter.
We had almost given up on this idea to the point that we bought another house. We got another mortgage. The reason that this actually ended up benefiting our life decision and molding us a little bit more to getting to where we're at right now is that instead of buying the big house for a big mortgage, we bought the smallest house we could find for this tiniest mortgage, and it was just kind of perfect for us. We really loved it. At that point, we were already getting rid of things and trying to live a little bit more minimalistic, and so it worked really great. And then the other crazy thing that happened is I changed jobs and I got probably my dream job. And I had only been there for a few months at this new dream job, and I was loving it when this idea came to me. It was so clear, so obvious, and I hated it. The idea was, we've been going about this all wrong. We've been looking at crazy ways to go live like different places around the world. We're looking at places that we don't actually even have more than just a passing interest about. Like we can go live in Italy near grape vineyards and stuff like that. And that sounds beautiful and wonderful and great, and I'm sure that we would love it, but it wasn't based on anything real. But I did have something real that we could base some of these decisions on. And it occurred to me all of a sudden, we have not been thinking about or looking at Polynesia. Specifically, we haven't been looking at Samoa. It never even occurred to me. And so I jumped on the internet and I went ahead and I did a little bit of research. Found out very quickly that, being an American, there's some visa issues. That's a little bit crazy trying to go live in Tonga or Samoa. But there's this US territory and I'm a US citizen and it's right there and it's called American Samoa. And I looked into it and instantly it was just so clear to me that that was the place. That was where I wanted to be at. Now I had to figure out how in the world I was going to use my economics degree and my experience as an economist to be able to come to American Samoa. That surely there's nobody here that is hiring economists. I don't think there's like a big university. There's not a huge government. I didn't see who would be hiring economists, but I did a little bit of research and found that all the economics in the territory was coming out of essentially one place, and that was the American Samoa Department of Commerce. Looked into them, I found the director's email address, and I wrote him and I said, hey, I don't even know what I'm looking for exactly, but I've got this degree in economics, and I'm hoping that as the commerce department for the territory, you have a good sense about the businesses on island that may want an economist or may be looking for somebody. And he wrote back and said, well, you know, you're not going to be able to make as much here as you would back in the States. And I responded and said, that's okay. I understand. I would just want a fair wage, but we don't have any debt. We're happy to live modestly. We need to change our lifestyle, and American Samoa is the place we want to be. And he wrote back and set up a phone interview that ended up being all of 20 seconds long, and hired me and said, absolutely, we'll take you. We'll pay for you to come out here, put you guys in a place to live, and we will set you guys up here to live in American Samoa. So here is the real serendipitous part that I love about all of this, is that just a couple of weeks before I wrote to the director of the Department of Commerce, they had a big economist in from Washington, D.C., and they said, look, American Samoa, you guys have issued some new bonds to raise money for some projects you're working on. If you guys are going to be taking on public debt like that, you have to have like a policy economist, specifically that has worked in taxes before. And that's really what I worked in for the state of Idaho. I was the deputy chief economist, and I worked on tax revenue forecasts and economic impacts of, you know, taxes and different revenues and things like that. And so it worked out just exactly right. I was the guy they were looking for. I didn't know that. They didn't reach out to me. We just found each other somehow. There's still one last piece of the puzzle that I was a little bit nervous about, because Melinda was excited to go travel and do things, but this wasn't traveling so much as it was going to live in one very small place in the middle of a very big ocean where we're not necessarily close to anything else. And so I told her, I said, hey, Melinda, I kind of got this opportunity that came up, and it's going to give us the ability to get out of Idaho, get out of the mainland US, get out of kind of mainstream, you know, American dream territory. But it's on this little island in the middle of the Pacific called American Samoa. And she was like, what, where is it? You know, I don't care. Let's do it. She didn't, that was it. She instantly saw the ability for us to be able to go do something bigger and grander and get our kids out of kind of our little, you know, echo chamber of family and friends and people that all look like us and all sound like us and all do the same things we do, and do something bigger with our lives. She was in. So within a month, I was on the ground here in American Samoa without Melinda and the kids, but they followed just a few short weeks after.
I stayed with the kids to, you know, close up the house that we owned still and just wrap up everything so that Nate could get here as fast as possible and get to work.
And that was a whole big, huge ordeal all in and of itself. And quite honestly, we could probably make a whole video just about the logistics of moving to American Samoa, but we'll probably do that. We'll save it for another video.
Yeah, and watch for it.
And we could probably make a whole nother video about why we decided to stay in American Samoa once we got here. When so many other people that come for a government contract, they come, they do the couple of years, and they get the heck out of here. So
what made us stay?
You have to wait and watch and see. We'll do another video for that as well.
For all of you out there who have done this or something similar, moving to American Samoa or Tonga or, you know, Puerto Rico or somewhere different from where you were born and raised, let us know in the comments down below why you made the move.
Yeah, we'd love to read those stories and try to see what other kind of kindred spirits are out there. In the meantime, again, thanks for joining us, guys. We love all of our viewers. We love all the comments and all the thumbs ups, and we even love the thumbs downs because they make us think really hard about how we can make our videos better. So don't give us a thumbs down.
We're not asking for it.
But we appreciate you guys engaging with us on here.
For now, we'll say tofa soifua.
So long. See you guys later.